Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Rob from Crypto Bobby, and wanted to open up this live stream today just to chat through what's going on in the crypto space today, what's happening, what I'm keeping my eye on, kind of where my thoughts are, and also just kind of shoot the shit with you guys, take some questions, kind of go on a little bit about what is happening, what's going on. So I appreciate you all taking the time to join me today, tonight, wherever you are, kind of based on the East Coast in the U.S., so halfway happy hour, so I'm being a hipster and drinking a LaCroix, if you can see. Yeah, no beer because I'm too much of a wimp right now, and I had a rough weekend. But wanted to just discuss kind of a couple different things today. Ethereum literally been sitting at 300 for a hot minute, so talk about kind of where that's been for the past week. Is money going to continue to move into? Is money going to potentially move into ETH? Is there a run there in the future? I think so. Hint. Bitcoin's really crazy rally. If that can continue, what some of these altcoins are that I've seen, that I've looked at, that I have some money in, and really just kind of taking questions and hanging out here, just trying to have a little bit of fun at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's kind of just the goal for this conversation and what I wanted to cover and hang out and talk about. But right now, really, Ethereum has been. I think I had my first live stream ever last week on the channel when ETH was about to break 300 for the first time. So apparently I'm bad luck because we broke 300, went all the way up to 315 plus, and now we've literally been just sitting at 300 for freaking forever, while other crypto like Bitcoin has had this miraculous run for the past week and a half, and Ethereum has been kind of sitting, hanging, not doing all that much. However, I think Ethereum is kind of like getting into like almost like a coiled spring type position and just is getting ready to roll into what I think is going to be a pretty big time rally in the next 1 to 2 months. I really have no facts behind that at all, but I think that there is going to be a nice heavy rally coming in the next 1 to 2 months for Ethereum, where it's really going to get a lot of this investment that's going into Bitcoin right now, that is hitting that 70 whatever million dollar market cap, 4,400 whatever it might be at right now. I think a lot of that investment is going to, let's see where Bitcoin is right now. I think a lot of this investment within Bitcoin is going to eventually move to Ethereum, because the way I view things in the crypto space a lot, and could be wrong, but kind of what I've seen, what I've noticed is there's always these specific hot trends, and there's the places where everybody wants to put their money. They put their money there. The money, they ride it up, and then maybe a sign of something bad happens, and they look for the next place to put their money. So, Ethereum was that place to put your money for, however many months, basically for all of 2017 until the last month and a half when things crashed, went down to 150, and now things have doubled, which is fantastic, but they're still not at the all-time high. So, what does that really mean? I think that there is going to be an opportunity to kind of move the needle from an investment standpoint within Ethereum within the next 1 to 2 months. Do I think it's going to happen this week? I don't know. If it does, fantastic. I hold ETH, so I'd love to see it. But it doesn't necessarily. I think there's a lot of money going into Bitcoin, and we think about from a market capitalization perspective. I mean, you're not talking about like some of these altcoins where they get pumped up, but they're only a $500 million market cap. You're talking about billions and billions of dollars being added to Bitcoin, and that money is coming from somewhere. I'm sure some of it is coming from fiat, but I feel like a lot of it is already coming from the crypto space, because I feel like people that are investing within the crypto space are just kind of recycling their gains, recycling their investments from one coin into another coin, because let's be honest, for the most part, you're not getting these returns anywhere else. So why would you take your money out of crypto and put it in any other asset for the most part if you already have it in there? That's my thought process, at least. I'm not taking the gains out. I'm just reinvesting them, trying to redistribute where I can. And that's kind of, I think, what a lot of people are doing. And I'm sure with Bitcoin right now, there is a, I'm sure there's a huge surge of people that are trying to, invest in Coinbase for the first time, and they might be disappointed when they get in at, $4,200, and it might take a drop at some point, which I think would be pretty realistic and pretty feasible. But I would also think that a lot of money is coming from, moving into Bitcoin from places like Ethereum or places like some of these altcoins as well. But I do think, quite frankly, that there is going to be a sustained run in the near future. We've been, for the past 7 days, really, since I can't see too much, but for the past 7 days, I want to say that 6-7 days we've been kind of chilling at 300, up, down, and eventually I think that's going to break to the upside in the near future, and let's hope that it does. Outside of that, there are, there's certainly some other kind of things I'm keeping my eye on, and definitely if you have any questions, please let me know. Taking a look at the live chat right now. Agree with you, Brock, there. I think things are getting sold off into real to real. How, when the market was $80 billion, now it's, if you're referring to how that, fiat, there's no doubt that fiat's coming into the market, but that's also from a price perspective. That doesn't mean that more US dollars, Bitcoin was at X amount of money. That's really what people are willing to pay. Like, from my perspective right now. So, let's say right now, and even just, psychologically speaking, let's say I put in $5,000 into crypto a month and a half ago. Right now, that's worth about $25,000 fiat wise. So I haven't put any new US dollars in. I haven't put any new fiat in. I have new quote unquote money, but I'm not putting any additional cash in. I'm just I'm selling the gains that I've made from some of these coins like Civic and Neo and whatever, and putting them into more ETH or Bitcoin or wherever it might be. Looking at another question there, should we buy DNT right now? I actually dipped my toe into the water on DNT today. I'll pull up Bittrex here, and we could take a look at that. But I dipped my toe into BNT this afternoon. I think it's actually probably up about 20% since I bought. But it's one of those things where I think that it's obviously up 700%. So it's not, DNT's not even on Bittrex. But that's the whole kind of thing, that it's going to be on Bittrex in the in the near future. But from DNT standpoint, I was looking at that, and I talked about it in one of my videos, or my video from earlier today, about why I was kind of considering buying it, and I figured I'd just finally pull the trigger. And really, it's up about 700% since the ICO. At ICO, I think the market capitalization was like 10 million. It's up to 70 million, 75 million right now. But it's one of those coins that has a lot of momentum behind it, and I think that when some of these tokens have a lot of momentum behind it, it's really possible for them to easily get to, even if it's worth it or maybe not worth it, but for them to easily get to like a $250 million or $200 million valuation or $250 million market capitalization. If you're looking at something like, take for example, like a Civic or a Status, I kind of think of DNT or District OX or 0x, whatever you want to call it, as kind of in that similar class of coin, and that's why, even though it's been up so much, that I figured I would invest in. I have not used Ether Delta. I actually use Liqui to get into DNT for the most part. I use Bittrex. That's kind of my primary trading exchange. That's what I like the most. But Liqui is usually the first one to add new coins. So if that's kind of one hint, is Liqui's okay, but it's definitely one hint to, if you're trying to get in on some of these, you miss out on an ICO. Liqui is usually one of the first places, and Ether Delta is as well, I think. But Liqui is usually one of the first places that has these ICOs available. So it's typically a good place if you want to hop in before they get listed on Bittrex or something like that, or Poloniex, which usually causes a spike. Yeah, Ether Delta is decentralized. I just haven't had a chance to utilize it yet. David, should we be setting limit sell orders for a plummet? I don't know if there's going to be a plummet. Maybe it's hard. this whole like market is so, I mean, you want to time it, you want to figure out kind of exactly what's going to go on. But I think Bitcoin could just as easily go up to 5,000 as it can, go back down to 3,000. Or I mean, it's probably more realistic right now for Bitcoin to hit 5,000 than it is to plummet back down to, let's say 3,000 or so. However, selling, I guess the limit sell orders, I think it's just your preference. I mean, if you have a risk tolerance, if this is like money that you need, set limit sell orders and keep them where your risk tolerance is. If you're only looking to lose maybe 15% or so, or that's your risk tolerance, set that limit sell order, leave it there, and then you don't have the stress of saying, hey, I'm going to lose 50% of my holdings or lose all my profits or whatever it might be. So I would recommend that. I don't know if there is going to be an impending crash coming. Quite frankly, I don't know. I think that the crash in my mind might be a little bit around some of these smaller coins are kind of what I am almost a little bit more worried about. Yeah, David, that's a little bit of kind of my thought process in a lot of ways is, trying to grow the stack as much as possible. The only thing I would caution you there is I've done this, on a few different times, is I've seen a dip. I've tried to sell my stack because I think, all right, I'm gonna sell it. It's gonna go lower and I'm gonna buy it back. Sometimes you set that sell order and you set that sell order, maybe it dips 5-10% more, and then it just rockets back upwards. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to be kind of aware of how things are going to move and what that process might be. So, I mean, the whole thing is just you're never going to get it right 100% of the time. For me right now, the easiest thing is at least trying to hold the majority of my tokens, trying to hold the majority of them, and then taking profits here and there off some coins. The only bad thing too is like, when I've taken profits, let's say Neo, for example, I got Neo at $6 and it went up to $15, and every person on the internet was saying it's going to crash, it's FUD, it's crap, it's being blown out of proportion. So I took profits at 15. I lost out on 35. I lost out on thousands of dollars taking profits there. Not necessarily a sell order, but it's the same type of kind of that was pretty much the market sell order, but that's kind of the same type of expectation there. Things have rocketed up. I didn't think they were gonna go up to I didn't think there was any chance in hell that they would go up to $50. Neo or Anshares would. So I sold about half my stack at 15, and there goes a lot of profit, and I put it in. I forget what else I put it in, but that was kind of that's basically the moral of the story there. It was not as it's difficult to predict things. And first of all, thanks for all the questions, everybody. I really do appreciate that. If you are new here, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button. I come out with a daily video every single day on what's going on in the markets with Ethereum, with Bitcoin, with some of these smaller coins that I'm tracking and investing in, and really just try to give you honest feedback in a kind of relaxed, casual way. So not trying to being one of those intense pumping up guys who's trying to talk about the one hidden coin that you don't know about that's on the 5th page of Bittrex, because that's bullshit. So yeah. Real to real, nice, straight into Bitcoin. That is, it's probably a pretty solid move, taking those Neo gains, putting into Bitcoin, especially, maybe you missed out on a little bit potentially, but that's sounds, pretty solid, especially where Bitcoin's at right now. So, good on you for that move. That's, that's pretty good. And we can even talk too about, if you have any questions, hit me up in the live chat. I know a couple people are asking some great questions here. But as far as where I'm at right now from an investment perspective, if you guys have any kind of interest in that, happy to just kind of pop into what I'm looking at. And this is actually something I'm probably going to put on my website too. I'm going to try and just make like a real-time chart or something like that, so you can kind of track. I'm not going to have the actual numbers, but like the percentages of where I'm keeping things. But right now, the latest thing that I got into, like I said, was DNT. I pulled the trigger on that today. And then outside of that, in BTC, in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, in OMG, in Civic, Neo, and Status. The only one that I'm a little bit antsy on is actually Status. I got in at the ICO. I sold a tiny bit of it when it spiked up really, really high, and then I spiked up high again. I sold it. I kind of did what we talked about. I sold it at what I thought was the top, and it was actually pretty close to the top of statuses, of where status was. And then outside of that, I bought back lower, and then it's just dipped lower and lower. So right now, I have the majority of my investment within status is at a significant premium to what it was during the ICO, but it's from the perspective of if I could have had that money from status in the other coins that I invested in, basically like a NEO or an OMG or a DNT right now, I would have been really happy about that. So I have, reluctantly in some cases got into some of these coins later on, but I still feel fairly confident in where they're at. Real to real, 10x. Do I hold a crypto card? I'm in the U.S., so to my knowledge, I can't utilize a crypto card yet. And to be honest, I would rather not spend my money on crypto for right now. It's kind of like for the most part, I'd rather just put all of it into investments. And I know maybe that's not the best thing in the world in terms of, gaining adoption and things like that, and trying to, kind of get the word out more about this. But on the other hand, I just think there's so much potential for this to rise, basically for this almost like new internet revolution, especially with Ethereum, that I'd rather not be spending it, buying a coffee at Starbucks or hopefully not Starbucks, hopefully better coffee, but just kind of continually investing the fiat money that I have where I can into, back into ETH, back into Bitcoin, back into these smaller altcoins, increase my positions, and not sell a dime, because I'd love to have this go long term. Caleb, I am holding NEO right now. I don't have a ton. Let's say I'll have like 75 or so. I had pretty pissed off at one point. I have 80 NEO. I'm looking at my blockchain app right now on my phone, or Blockfolio app. At one point I had about 300, and I took profits and moved them elsewhere. And now I have 80. So if I had 300, that would have been probably missed out on about 10 grand of profit, but that's life. That is crypto, and I don't always know what the hell I'm doing. So that's kind of my thoughts there. Thoughts on Coco? I'm not too familiar, real to real. Not too familiar. And Mark, DNT mooning on Liqui. I haven't had a chance to. Let me see if I could pull that up, but let's see what's going on with our good old friends at Liqui. Give me 1 second. We'll pull that up. See, geez, you are right. Well, it looks like today's buy isn't the worst thing that I've ever done, but it's not real until you either sell or until those gains are just outrageous. But yeah, let's see. Oh, the Microsoft usage of Ethereum. Yeah, I think that's really, really interesting. That is, the more people that can adopt these types of technologies, especially a Fortune 500 company like Microsoft, it's going to be better for the industry. And I know there's that debate on, especially with Ethereum, are they using a version of a private blockchain? Are they using a public blockchain? And a lot of people are saying, well, if it's a private blockchain, it doesn't really matter. They're not really using the technology. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. If a company like Microsoft is willing to put their name behind Ethereum, I think that lends a huge amount of credibility to the space, and it's only going to benefit things. What do I think of Civic? I got in on Civic's ICO. I wish I got more in the ICO. I got kind of kicked back to the later portion of the kind of the queue line that they had. So I only got to invest like $1,000 into Civic. But luckily, that $1,000 is now worth let's say $6,000. So you can't really complain about that. I just wish it was more at the time. But overall, happy with Civic. I know that there's a post today, and I know there's kind of a continued post on, or there's kind of continued feedback about Vinny Lingham, the CEO of Civic, and I know he said some things about Ethereum that a lot of people don't like, and he launched the Civic token as an ERC20 token, but he wants to move it to another platform. And as much as that's like, that's not great in a lot of ways, and I don't know, a lot of people hate him for that and like really don't like him, especially within the ETH community. I think that I've used the app before in ICOs. I've used the app in the Civic ICO. I know they used it in I believe it was the DNT ICO as well. So I think there's a real product there. Do I think it's worth $200 million right now? Probably not. But you got to remember, Vinny Lingham sold his last company to First Data for like over $50 million. So this guy's done it before, and he has some experience in the space. So it's not just like a white paper shit product, shit company. Even if you don't like them, I don't like everybody I invest in, but I'm still going to invest money in people that I don't necessarily maybe like. If they can make me money, then they can make me money, right? So let's keep those comments coming. Really do appreciate it. And just taking a look at DNT right now. This is let's look at the ETH ratio. DNT right now is like somebody said previously, I can't scroll up to see, but looks like it's going pretty berserk, and it is really going through the roof. I know this was something that some people were talking about really for the past week or so. So it's good. I hope a lot of you got in on it. I did not get in on it early. I put in some money today because I figure being that it's going to get listed on Bittrex, I think that's already priced into DNT in a lot of respects because people are buying it because they think it's going to be listed on Bittrex or whatever it might be. So I think that's affecting the price. Obviously, it's spiking like crazy, but to the effect of what do I think about its long-term potential? I think it's an interesting project. I think that the relationship it has kind of within the Ethereum community is impressive, and I think that it's a small market cap right now, and that's what I look at in a lot of cases when I'm investing is how big of a market cap is it? Right now, it's only 75, or it's probably above 75 right now to have coin market cap up, but it's a smaller market cap, and I feel like it could pretty easily rise to like a $200 million market cap type, potentially plus coin if it spikes out the wazoo. And now it's fallen a little bit, but who cares? I put it in my ledger. I'm holding. I'm just going blind, and I'll probably try and accumulate more on a dip if it does. So I'm cool with that. Real to real, there was a whole big to do with DNT where they were supposed to pay, I believe it was like $5,000. We're talking about DNT right now, District OX. It's just the one we're talking about right now. Kind of switching up as we go. But there was a whole big to do with District OX. And having their coin on Bittrex. Apparently, Bittrex charges like a $5,000 compliance fee for a coin or a company to get listed on Bittrex, and DNT apparently did not want to pay that $5,000 compliance fee. So they said, okay, we're not going to pay the compliance fee. We're not going to go on Bittrex. And then I think a lot of people that were holding DNT didn't like that. They actually held it up for a vote. They held that up for a vote, and I believe the voting community said, pay the damn $5,000 and put yourself on Bittrex because it's going to lead to a lot more exposure, a lot more volume, whatever. So that's I think that's kind of how that went down with Bittrex, and I think that's a lot of the reason behind the pricing momentum right now is because people think it's going to be listed on Bittrex, and they want it to be listed on Bittrex, and when it goes on Bittrex, there's a possibility it might increase the price because it's going to be exposed to a lot more buyers. It might not, and it might already be priced in because it's really not that hard to open up a Liqui account as opposed to a Bittrex account. But that's just kind of my thoughts there on DNT a little bit. Let's pull up CoinMarketCap and just take a look at some stuff going on over there. See if there's any coins that some folks have some interest in taking a look at here. Sorry for the stream kind of being crappy too. There we are. Real. I don't think it's like a chain coin. I think I don't get the feeling on that. Yeah, that's true. Everybody said that. I think And there's still people that are, where do I store my NEO right now? On an exchange. But I want to figure out a place where I can store it more securely, because I have a Ledger Nano S. I like the Ledger Nano S, but I have the Ledger Nano S. I like the Ledger Nano S, but it's not a. I don't believe NEO is storable on that. I would assume, being a top 10 coin now, that Ledger might integrate that wallet into their system. But as of now, I don't believe it's available yet. So I'm just using an exchange. Then I'm also trying to figure out what the best place would be for that at this point in time. But probably not too smart, of me to do that. Johanna asking about Siacoin, Ripple. I had Siacoin a while ago. I think that's one that's kind of fallen out of favor a little bit. I think some of like the OMGs of the world, the Civics of the world, the 10Xs, I think those are kind of the new hot currencies, and a lot of money has moved from like Siacoin to those coins because the return was already in Siacoin, and it really hasn't recovered too much from kind of that big crash back in July or so. So I mean, as far as Siacoin goes, I sold it. I'm not holding it. I think there's a lot of coins right now that are trying to do that like decentralized storage type of play, whether it's Siacoin or it's storage or it's Filecoin now. There might be one big winner in the space. I don't know who it'll be, but I don't think right now for me Siacoin is different enough for me to dip my toe in the water. And even if it's real cheap, it doesn't look like it has any momentum to go anywhere for me. That's all my personal opinions on it are. I, for the most part, try to like buy with the momentum and see what I can see what happens, and try to play some of the hot coins and not like, I know somebody's mentioned like Chaincoin and the pump and dump crap. Not like that's the pump and dump stuff is like the most ridiculous thing on the planet. And I was watching a YouTube video today where I won't name names, but somebody out there was basically saying, hey, you join my Telegraph community, you pay me $10, and then I will tell you about the one coin that nobody knows about, that only my group knows about, that we're buying and we're not selling, and we're getting a 22x return on investment right now. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too fucking good to be true, and don't mess around with it. Don't touch it. Look for coins that have legitimate teams behind it, that have legitimate backing, and that have a real product. So don't get fooled by this crap. Like a lot of the stuff that goes on, yeah, I know. Yeah, Crypto Jack. I probably should name names. I don't give a shit. But as far hey, there he is. As far as it goes, diving into like the 6th page of Bittrex, or like the 6th page of Liqui to find the small obscure coin that nobody's talking about, that has no team behind it, that hasn't had any development in 6 months, but people are just going to buy it to pump up the price. And then at some point in time, you're going to buy it and you're going to get screwed on the downturn, like so many people did when they saw Chaincoin going up from like a cent to $6. How many people got that at $6 and now have it at 25 cents? You're screwed. Don't participate in those crappy things. Just don't. It's bad news. It's bad news. And that's kind of my thought process in general. It's like I don't want to play around with that. I don't want to mess around with it. Look for the fundamentals. Look for the coins that have backing, that are real communities behind them, real kind of people behind them as well. So that's kind of my thought process there. And again, too, some awesome questions coming in. I'm going to answer as many as I can. But if you are new here, again, hit the subscribe button. I usually do a daily recorded video, and then I hop on the live stream as much as possible too when I have some free time. This is kind of my happy hour little bit right now with my seltzer water. Yeah, an experiment that bankrupted a bunch of people and made a bunch of other people rich. Is it worth holding IOTA and OMG at the moment? As far as OMG goes, I invested in OMG. I'm still holding OMG. As far as IOTA goes, it's an interesting coin. It's an interesting concept, but I'm not personally buying it right now. Let's see what else is. See what else in the chat. 10x, should I invest in the 10x? I actually tried to get into the 10x ICO. I didn't get a chance to get into the ICO. And then I bought a little bit and sold it at a loss when it really dropped off, kind of after things, when it really dropped off. I don't have any 10x now. I don't really plan on buying it. I don't think that I think it's a great team. It seems like a great product. But I mean, as far as like the cryptocurrency credit cards, they just don't excite me as much as some other things do. So I'm going to put my money where I'm more excited about the product. And I'm just kind of a bitter baby because I didn't get on the ICO. So let's see. OMG is the PayPal of China. I don't know if it's the PayPal of China. Everything that seems to have some type of Asian backing does really well, but I don't know if it's the next PayPal of China. It would be fantastic if it was, but we'll see on that. Did I buy into DNT already? I bought into DNT this morning. So I'm late to the party, but I think the party might still have some room to run. So I'm interested to see. What happens. Yeah, sold mine at $5 yesterday. Yeah, it's tough to keep up with a lot of the news kind of out of Asia, out of China, and I think I kind of stick to Reddit for a lot of that in some cases. The one thing I will mention though is that's honestly been a little bit of like the strategy that I've had is I pretty much bought Neo because whether or not it's true, everybody says Neo is the next the Ethereum of China. That's all people were saying. The Ethereum of China, the Ethereum of China. So I said, you know what, screw it. I'll put a little bit of money into it. I'll see if it really is the Ethereum of China. And then it went up like 10x. So I couldn't complain. And I did get into OMG because I know that I got into OMG for different reasons that I got into Neo. Neo, I kind of think is, let's say, like more hypey. There's not kind of as much, not as much of like a developed product there. OMG is actually a Omise Go or Omise Go, however you pronounce it, is actually a product already. So they're a company already. They have venture capitalist funding. Like when their ICO happened, like that was on like TechCrunch. They have backing. I believe we're in 500 startups and some like startup accelerators. So they're an existing company that's not just kind of founded out of thin air. So I think the fundamentals with OMG might be there. And that's kind of, while it does have that kind of, Asian foothold per se, that's kind of why I invested in OMG was because I think that the fact that they already have a real team in place, they already had venture capital funding, they already have connections in the industry. That was appealing for me. And Neo was appealing for me because it was more of a hype train. It was just like everywhere you look, somebody's like ant shares, Neo. So I just jumped in and it turned out well because I got it at $6. So, and now it's at, 48. Although, like I said before, if you missed out on the beginning of the stream, I got it at $6 and I sold half of it at like 15. So I would have had a lot more money if I didn't do that. But you live and learn in crypto, and that's kind of life. You can't win every trade. It's freaking impossible. And even when I try to rebalance a portfolio to make it more effective and to get my money working better, I don't always hit on things. Outside of, scroll down here, OMG is, the rise of OMG has been pretty nuts. Going from not necessarily obscurity, but I mean, OMG was at $30 million, $50 million market cap, and now it's up to $684 million. I mean, that's outrageous. I don't know if that's sustainable. I'd love to see it be sustainable, but that's high for what it is. That's high. There's no doubt about it. 10x as well. I mean, 10x is down 7% today, but sitting at $500 million basically for a for a credit card type, for a crypto credit card is that's pretty rich. But there's nothing really justifying these valuations other than people are willing to pay for it. There's excitement behind it. There's hype behind it. So that's been interesting. And looking outside of that, I mean, there's definitely some other ones that are. I don't have too many thoughts on Numerai. Quite frankly, I'm not too familiar with it, so I don't want to speak to it. The one thing that I was excited about, but didn't get a chance to, because I'm a U.S. citizen, didn't get a chance to participate in like half the things in crypto because I'm in the U.S. But Economy is the idea of putting together like an ETF or something that you could basically package. And I could essentially say like, oh, okay, I'm investing in, these are the 7 or 8 coins I'm investing in. If you want to invest in them, here you go. You could just do it right now in this one like little ETF package that blends everything with the specific percentages. I think that's what Economy is trying to do, but it's not open to, they have digital asset managers, I believe they're called, not open to U.S. citizens. Hopefully it does at some point in time, because that's something that I would really like to do. I think that'd be pretty fun to put something like that together and have people participate in that and not have to. I mean, I'm sure for a lot of people that are on this stream right now, like you have no problem going to Bittrex or to Liqui or to EtherDelta or to wherever, buying crypto and storing it. I have a lot of friends who are not, like, let's say, as maybe technically advanced, or they're just scared and would rather do something easier, but also have some diversification outside of just going to Coinbase or GDAX and buying Ether, Bitcoin, and Litecoin. So Vericoin and Reggie, I don't have too many thoughts on it yet. I haven't done a ton of research, quite frankly, in those. BitShares, looking to do more research on that. It's tough. There's so many damn coins. There are so many coins. Let me pull down. Let's see what else we got. Steemit is fairly interesting. I just created a profile on Steemit recently. I get like 2 cents a post, but it's kind of I think that the premise of Steem is fairly interesting, but it's like just basically an echo chamber of a bunch of people that are interested in crypto and want to make more crypto, which is fine because I'd love to make more crypto. But it's it's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun to participate in. It's basically, in my opinion, it's like a Reddit with a tip bot built in. Basically, kind of reminds me of Dogecoin back in the day. So that's kind of interesting and fun to see how that might progress. I mean, it's one of those that actually has a real product. So more power to them. Sorry for the scrolling. It's this damn streaming. But outside of that too, the ones that I'm looking at really that I have some money in that I'm interested in. Civic, again, we've talked about it a little bit. I was literally had my finger on the trigger to sell Civic the other day, and maybe I should have, maybe I shouldn't have, but it's at an all-time high, or I was going to take some profits and maybe move that back into ETH because it's up like 700% from the ICO. So that's a little bit rich, I think, and it might have some room to fall. But I literally had my ledger out and I was about to plug it in and said, nope, don't do it. Hold off, don't do it. So I'm holding for now. Hopefully it'll continue to rise and move in a positive direction. I'm still holding Civic, holding everything I got from the ICO. And then again, too, if you weren't here earlier, Status is another one. Got in on the ICO. I'm holding now. I'm hoping that it's going to pop in a good direction. A lot of money has gone from Civic, or Status had a nice move a couple weeks ago and has since then cooled off pretty substantially and not really moved to the upside too much. I'm hoping that it moves to the upside in the near future, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. We'll see. I'm ready to take some profits on it when I can get to a position I'd be comfortable with, but as of right now, I still trying to, kind of figure out the best move. The only thing that I'm disappointed in with my status money now is that I had a ton in status. I had a lot of fiat in status, and I could have put that to, I was really interested in NEO, I was really interested in OMG, and I put very small amounts into NEO and to OMG because I wanted to keep my investment in status. Status stayed the same, Endor dropped, NEO went through the roof, OMG went through the roof, and I'm sitting holding the status bags, but it's life. Overall, the portfolio's up a ton, so that's great. So how do you find out about ICOs? I mean, there's a couple different websites. I'll bring up one. This will take me a second, but so Smith and Crown is one. Give me a minute here. I'll pull that up. Smith and Crown is one of the places. Outside of that, Reddit, just generally speaking, Reddit is good. For everything, but it's good to find out kind of what's going on here. There are a ton of ICOs. So that's numero uno. You have to watch out because there's just a lot. What I would say though is that the ICOs that I'm usually interested in are the ones that I want to get in on, are the ones that usually are the ones that sell out within 15 minutes. There's the huge craze behind them and all that stuff, because that's ultimately what I think drives the price. Or I've seen, you're looking at these tokens. Civic sold out. They had the line, they had the queue system. Civic sold out, and a lot of people didn't get a chance to get in on it. That's up 700% since the ICO. Status sold out. That's up probably 300% or so since the ICO. 10x sold out. That's up a huge amount since the ICO. These coins that go nuts during the ICO process are, I think, the ones that really can do well once they hit the market, because either so many people have them or so many people want to get in on them. Some of the ones that, so I'll tell you a quick story right now. Credo is a token. It's listed somewhere on here, but the scroll system sucks on my streaming tool. So Credo, CREDO, is one that I have that I jumped in on the ICO for. It's it's basically an email spam tool utilizing blockchain. You buy these Credo tokens, and if you want to send somebody a message that is not in your authorized contacts, you send them Credos, and they'll accept it that way. Or essentially, is the platform. Sounds interesting. Tim Draper was a guy who was in it, who was a big kind of Bitcoin blockchain investor in Silicon Valley. I think he's in DFJ Partners, big VC firm, which is a lot of times I think about as good. But he basically bought a bunch of tokens pre-sale at super dirt cheap. I think a lot of people saw that and said, if this guy bought all these tokens for pennies on, literally pennies on the dollar, why am I going to buy these tokens at 20x markup and just make this guy rich essentially? So I think that turned off a lot of people to Credo, and I don't remember the exact market cap that it had, but it was they're looking for $20 or $30 million in token sales, and they're not going to come anywhere near hitting it. It's a month long sale. If you check it out, they might have raised, let's say, $3 or $4 million right now to $30 million. I put in about 5 ETH, so not a ton, but when I consider putting 5 ETH into, literally, if I put, instead of that 5 ETH, I put that from Credo into OMG or into NEO, I would have had 25 ETH by now. So it's unfortunate, but the one thing I would recommend there is that if you go into these ongoing ICOs and something's been an ICO and it's been open for a week and it doesn't have that much money into it, if it doesn't have that much money into it and it's not going to hit its goal, I would wait, and I probably wouldn't invest in it. Because what I've seen is the ICOs that have really killed it and really done well are the ones that sell out immediately. So you want to be aware of those before they go live. You really want to know what's going on before it happens, because if you go back after the fact and you say, I don't know anything about, so quite frankly, I don't know anything about SynchroLife, SYC. I have no idea what it is. It's just on this screen right now. No idea what SynchroLife SYC is, but it's been open for a little bit of time. It ends September 13th. let's say a week from now they haven't raised enough money, I probably wouldn't get into it at that point in time, because if there's not enough initial interest when it gets to the market, I don't think it's not as likely to go somewhere as it is if there's a big craze behind the ICO. So that's one. Filecoin, reel to reel. Filecoin's an interesting one. It's interesting in the sense that I believe the CEO of, I think it's Angel.co, they use that system or a system based from Angel.co, something that they utilize there. And essentially you can only get involved if you're an accredited investor. If you're not familiar with what an accredited investor is, at least in the United States, I believe you need to have like over $200,000 or over $250,000 in verified annual income for 2 or 3 years, or like 350 grand in household income, or like over $1 million or $2 million in assets. Basically, you need to be wealthy or making a lot of money. So Filecoin is one of those where you need to be an accredited investor to get in, which limits a lot of people for getting in. And also, it's one of the ones where, quite frankly, a lot of people are. It's kind of one of the. Some of these coins are, companies in Europe or in Asia or wherever, and then some of these are like these Silicon Valley type based companies, and those ones might have a nice strong backing from like VCs and from lawyers and things like that. But the one thing I would consider is with some of those tokens, those VCs are getting sweet deals on these. Like I said, with Credo and Tim Draper, I don't remember the exact price, but it was literally like whatever I paid for a Credo token that I have, I'm pretty sure Tim Draper paid like 10% of that. And with Filecoin, there's like friends and family investors. There's like friends and family investors that are, I think Tim Ferriss is one of them, if I'm not mistaken. I love Tim Ferriss. But if I'm one of these people that could get in on the friends and family deal, I would love to. I would never be able to, but I would love to. But that's something that I would, just consider that if there's people in Silicon Valley and wherever, buying these tokens for 5%, 10% on the dollar of what you're going to pay for, you're basically making them rich. Granted, you might get rich as well from it, but just be aware, because I think that leaves a lot of people that invest in cryptocurrencies are overall skeptics. I mean, it's a kind of anti-establishment type of investing landscape. So when you have these anti-establishment people who are kind of getting screwed over by basically the establishment of like venture capitalism and all that type of stuff that's already getting rich as hell in the first place, something to keep an eye on. How can you tell how quickly it's selling out? You can tell how quickly it's selling out because those coins, like let's say Status and 10x and Civic, 10x was sold out in 10 minutes. So you have to know when, like 10x's ICO was, let's say, I don't remember when it was like, let's say July 10th. It was July 10th. It started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. At 1:10, it was sold out. So you had to be sitting at your computer at 1 o'clock. You had to send ETH at that given point in time. Or you had to send Bitcoin at that given point. I think it was ETH. You had to send ETH at that given point in time. And if your transaction didn't go through, the ICO clogged the network, basically. It screwed up everything, and then you couldn't get through. So that's something that you want to be aware of, because those hot coins, you really want to pick, and it's tough because you want to pick and choose what you want to get into beforehand, but there's no way to know that it's going to sell out. But all I'm trying to say is that pick the ICOs that you're interested in, pick the ICOs that seem to have a good community behind them, but don't go into like Smith and Crown or another one of these ICO websites and see like, ooh, this website has been, this ICO has been open for 3 weeks and it's raised $1 million and it's some random coin that sounds kind of interesting. Like maybe I'll throw some Ethereum into it. Don't do it. If it's already been open for 3 weeks, I wouldn't put my money into it. Because it's probably not hot enough to sustain things. So that's kind of my thought process there. Outside of everything there, that's kind of what I wanted to cover today. I know we got quite a bit of people in the in the live chat right now, so I appreciate everybody's time. If you are new to the channel, would love a subscribe. That would be freaking awesome. I do have a daily recorded video every day. I also throw it on iTunes as a podcast as well. But hit the subscribe button. I would love that, so you can get that daily video. And then I come up with the live streams as much as possible too. But if you have any questions, always feel free to comment on any of my YouTube videos. Send me an email, rob@cryptobobby, and happy to help out. But as of now, I'm hungry. I'm going to grab dinner, and I appreciate the time. Cheers to my seltzer happy hour. Hopefully tomorrow it's a beer or whiskey, and I appreciate everybody's time. You guys are all awesome. Have a good one.